I'd like to talk mostly here about Joe. So Joe and I actually have a lot of similarities too. First,
aside from our
we're doppelgangers. We're doppelgangers.
I wore the wrong blue because I'm a little darker and I was supposed to wear the other one.
Yeah, we got that a little messed up, but it's okay, it's okay. But Joe and I are both about the same age, same hairstylist. We both were born in the Philadelphia area. We both have military backgrounds. I served in the Marine Corps, which is the better service as compared to the Air Force.
Hats off to that, you are.
But you know, in all seriousness, we both got our starts, and I think that sort of informs why we're here a little bit. I mean, in the 80s, I enlisted in the Marine Corps. Then they sent me to college, and afterwards, you know, I got out and I've been working in business. Joe, similarly, being smarter than I am, went ahead and got accepted to the Air Force Academy, and then spent 23 years, 23 or 27?
Well, 30 total, 23 active duty, and then the weird part was after I retired active duty, I got called back for another 6.5.
Okay.
You know, got to put my uniform back on for reserve. Yeah.
And so Joe spent, you know, an entire career, you know, serving the country in the Air Force. He'll probably tell you a little more about that. But he also has a PhD, you know, in public policy. So, you know, very, you know, sharp, grounded guy, a lot of experience. I think also we're both, I would say, reluctant politicians. Like, you know, I was elected Township Supervisor last year. I never dreamed of going and becoming an elected official. It wasn't something on my to-do list. But when I was asked by Montgomery County Democratic Committee in January of 2017, would you consider running in Lower Providence? I kind of looked at it like it was my duty more than anything. I think a lot of that comes from the service background. You know, and so I thought about it and said, sure, I'll go ahead and do it. And it was, you know, something I thought was important to do. And Joe's the same way. Like, I met Joe through that process. And actually, you know, called up Joe Foster and said, hey, there's this guy Joe Webster. This was like last June or July.
So it's not just Ashley's fault?
It wasn't. It's not just Ashley's fault. I called Joe Foster and said, hey, you gotta, you know, keep your eye on this guy because I think he would be good, you know, at the national or state level. And so then, you know, Ashley, you know, saw the same sorts of things, and Joe, like I was pulled into it, Joe was pulled into running for office. And I think reluctant politicians are probably best because we don't want, like, or I'm not tooting my own horn, like, I don't really have anything to gain from this other than just trying to do service for the community. And I think Joe's the same way. And so I just want to give you that introduction, Joe, and let you say your piece.
Well, so most of you in the room know me a little bit, or I've seen you around, and that's because you're dedicated to getting some of our Democratic candidates over the finish line. And so I'll just spend, I talk too much. Laura keeps telling me in a room like this, you know, the best advice is listen, and then you get introduced and you need to speak for a little bit. I'll be real kind of concise about that. I consider that I'm just a Philly kid, and I'm inspired and awed of the opportunities in front of us to do good things. At 18, I was in that position from a blue-collar union kind of family as to what trade should I choose. And as Gary mentioned, I managed to be nominated to the Air Force Academy. So one day I was trying to decide, you know, do I become a carpenter? Do I do something different? And the next day it was, I'm in college and had a different path forward. I served 23 years in active duty Air Force, retired as a colonel, and I'll tell you two quick highlights about that. One was notable this week because I happened to be in the Pentagon on September 11th, 2001, and I was a legislative liaison at the time, so I was representing the Air Force and the Pentagon on Capitol Hill, so I had that little bit of legislative experience. 9/11 happened, and in the next 18 months, I served in 32 different countries. So I did my duty, and I missed it, you know, probably a Christmas dinner and a couple soccer games for the kids along the way. But I'm proud of that opportunity to serve and what was accomplished as part of that. And then retiring as a colonel, I had the opportunity to enter industry. So I've been a vice president at 2 different companies. One was a small high-tech startup in King of Prussia, and the other was Accenture Global 500 company. And I throw those tidbits out about my resume only to say I have some experience in the military, the discipline and the leadership. I have some experience in business, and I'm ready to go to Harrisburg. I can translate that to accomplishing good things for the community. As Gary said, it's a mission. It's a chance to go out there and do some things that will improve that whole list. As a progressive Democrat that I want to be, there's a long list. It's public education, it's health care, it's fairness and equity, gender pay equity, LGBTQ fairness and equity, it's infrastructure, it's our mainstream businesses, right? It's environmental, our creeks and rivers, and as we, right here, the Perkiomen Creek and the Skippack and the Schuylkill River, right here, clean water, clean air, open spaces. It's quality housing and care for our senior citizens. We were talking, at length about these property taxes that impact seniors, and they also impact our lower income communities. So District 150, we're comfortable in some ways, right? We have a beautiful community like the home we're in today, and we have West Norriton, which is lower in terms of income and higher in terms of diversity, and they get less money per student in the high school than we do in the wealthier suburb. So there are all kinds of little issues that need to be addressed, and it is a long list. Sometimes I can talk forever about the list. It's gun safety in our schools. It's, on and on and on. And the reason the list is so long is because 15, 18, 20 years has gone by and Harrisburg's not doing their part. And we talked a little about these false dichotomies in terms of, property taxes on a senior citizen who wants to stay in their home or having a good school system. Well, it shouldn't be or. There are other ways to raise revenue, and there are other ways to support these public schools, which then entail all the benefits of strong communities and equality and higher property values and the opportunities that our children can avail from those good schools. There's ways that we keep building towards the future instead of tearing things down. And the last thing I'll throw in there, it takes resources. So here we are, we're meeting and greeting, and I'll be glad to answer questions. But in the end, when you make a contribution, I guarantee we'll put it to good use, and we're going to get across the finish line, and that's the key. So I do need help to get to that point. I've said it in small venues like this and bigger ones. But your contribution adds to the social media, it adds to the literature you see with my picture on it that we hand out at doors all the time, and it adds to the energy that we can bring to the campaign to get to the finish line. And from where I am, I can see the finish line, and we can win this. So I'll leave it at that. It's pretty exciting for me, and I'll be glad to answer questions if you have those. Yeah, sure.